let's go to my top 5 coach of the year candidates. I'm going to go 1 to 5 here because I'm not really ranking the coaches so much as I am listing the coaches. So you're going to see numbers next to them, but I'm not really saying that one coach is better than another coach. I'm just saying that right now, these are the 5 guys that I'm paying the most attention to for what they have done in 2022. Okay? Not really giving you a whole lot of credit for what you did last year. However, I'd be a fool to tell you that past performance is not indicative of future performance in this sport, or at least the way that we want to talk about the sport, because as senior producer Catherine Donnelly likes to remind me, RJ, talk about the sport as it is, not as you want it to be. Okay, so that said, number 1, I got Texas Christian coach Sonny Dykes. Sonny Dykes has TCU off to its first 9-0 start in 12 years. Last time that TCU started at 9-0, they finished 13-0, and Andy Dalton was still the Red Rifle, and he's winning Rose Bowls. That's how long it's been, because anybody who's seen Andy Dalton's career basically the last 5 years is going, dog, that has been a long time, has it? Also, they still got the statue up of the Texas special assistant to the head coach, which I think is great. That's awesome. I can't wait for Texas Christian versus Texas this weekend, Saturday in Austin. It's going to be so much fun because, well, Sonny Dykes was on that staff the last time they were pretty good. Number 2 on this list, I got Lincoln Riley from USC, because not that USC is that good, and they are, right? It's that they were that bad, right? So taking into account what USC was when they fired Clay Helton, 4-8 program, you made the secondary coach the interim head coach. He was mercifully retained by Lincoln. And then Lincoln just trawled the transfer portal, which is something he did at Oklahoma, by the way, and created a winner seemingly overnight. Their one loss is on a game winner in Rice-Eccles against Utah, a game that they probably win if Jordan Addison stays healthy, Eric Gentry stays healthy, and then they might be undefeated. And we're talking about them not just playing for the Pac-12 championship, but probably playing in the college football playoff. It is indicative of his past performance, I understand, but the mess he inherited at USC, you got to give him credit for what he has done. If they run the table and win the Pac-12 championship and somehow get in the college football playoff, you're probably going to hear Lincoln Riley's name mentioned more and more for the Eddie Robinson Coach of the Year. And now, number 3, let's talk about Kansas head coach Lance Leipold, who has been doing an amazing job at Kansas. This is a doormat of a program before he got there. And when he accepted the job, or Travis Goff identified him and then accepted the job, yours truly was way out in front on this, because everything that Lance Leipold has been able to do at the lower levels of college football, to Buffalo to now Kansas, has been winning. And winning in a way that makes you very proud to have thrown your support behind him, right? The dude does it in such a way that it makes you feel comfortable. Whenever I've had exchanges with him, even on this program, they've always been cordial. He's always been nothing but kind to me. And kindness goes a long way with me, as I'm sure it does with you. And now we have a Kansas football team that is bowl eligible and got its first ranked win since 2008 on the same day. That's phenomenal. Also, the hero against number 18 Oklahoma State in a beatdown for Kansas is from around the way. Devin Neal is from Lawrence. He had 200-plus yards rushing, 100-plus yards receiving, had an absolute day, and their defense is playing out of their minds. I'm having such a good time watching the Kansas Jayhawks not just be relevant, but contend, right? Because Lance Leipold could win Coach of the Year just by getting to 10 wins this season, which is not something I might be able to say about our next coach to mention, Josh Heupel, who also has done a remarkable job of turning around a Tennessee program that really just needed the right guy to inherit that job, I think, right? Whereas Kansas is much more of an overhaul. Josh Heupel just had the right demeanor for a Tennessee fan base that had been through the Lane Kiffin experience and didn't like it, had been through the Jeremy Pruitt experience and didn't like it. And Josh Heupel kind of falls right there in the middle with his high-powered offense. They want to go fast. They want to score. They want to play one-gap defense and get tackles for loss. And they still have the most ranked wins in the sport. They just took an L to the best team in the sport, and that's nothing to sneeze at, especially knowing what Tennessee's schedule is year in and year out. I hope they can sustain this momentum, because it's fun to see Tennessee be good, and it's fun to see their fans have something more than just misery to celebrate, or that we're going to get out of a contract with Jeremy Pruitt so we can go get somebody else. Shout out to Danny White, who just said, hey, I got a winner down there in Central Florida. I'm going to bring him with me to Tennessee. And then at number 5 for me, Ohio State head coach Ryan Day. I think it's important to just get this out of the way. Ryan Day could be Jim Harbaugh, could be Kirby Smart, because I think the only way that he's going to win the coach of the year is by running the table, winning the national championship. That's it, because it's Ohio State, right? It's Georgia, it's Michigan. We expect you to be good. We don't really think of those programs as being the kind where they need a Herculean effort from a head coach who can just infuse his momentum and his desire to win and his work ethic into the program in the way that, say, Lance Leipold has, or how Sonny Dykes just seamlessly transferred over from Southern Methodist to TCU and made a winner out of a team that, quite frankly, Gary Patterson just had to give up on and go his own way, right? I really think that also we could talk about Brian Kelly, LSU. We can talk about Oregon head coach Dan Lanning. Two things to take away there. Brian Kelly beat Nick Saban. That's great, because so did Josh Heupel. But I'm not necessarily inclined to give somebody a Coach of the Year award for beating Nick Saban. You can have the Nick Saban Coach of the Year award should he want to grant it to you. That said, there is a point to be made that he inherited a mess, Brian Kelly, at LSU. But as I've been saying, and I wrote at Fox Sports, it's the best job in America, because all you got to do is try to keep a lid on what you got, keep the state in your back pocket, swipe a few from Texas, swipe it from California, swipe a few from Florida, and you're winning. As a matter of fact, perhaps it all comes back to he just stayed with Jaden Daniels and decided, no, I got a dude that takes care of the football. And if I got a dude that takes care of the football, doesn't throw it to the other team, doesn't put it on the ground, we'll have a chance to win. And that's what Jaden Daniels has turned into. He is the kind of guy that you can go into battle with and win. You're also keeping Keishawn Butte on the program, even as he's deleting his entire Instagram and going closer to what we think is transferring. All before you turn it all around, you get a win in Baton Rouge, and you're celebrating in a very real way. Dan Lanning also needs to mention here, because frankly, it didn't look like it was going to go well for him after that week one. You lose 49-3 to Georgia. We're all out on you, and you have done nothing but destroy everybody you have played since then. As a matter of fact, Oregon and Ohio State are two teams that have scored at least 20 points or more in every game that they have played since week 2. Now, Ohio State is riding a 70-game streak of scoring 20 points or more, but knowing what Kenny Dillingham has been able to do with Bo Nix, knowing how the defense has really decided to come into its own with Lanning taking over a little bit of the play call and Todd Chapoy being able to hunker down on that secondary, it's been kind of fascinating and fun to watch. But I think this list is going to change a little bit more, and probably drastically, by the time we get to December. I mean, a couple of guys that I thought about, even as we're getting into the nitty gritty of this, is Mac Brown at North Carolina, who's got a loss to Notre Dame. That's it. Drake May, first year as a starter, he's a Heisman contender, right? These are all good problems to have if you are a pundit like me and you're just trying to figure out who the best of the best is. And then every once in a while you get Kirby Smart to show up and say, no, it's still us. We're the defending national champion, and we don't plan on giving up the crown. Thank you for watching the #1 college football show. Please remember to subscribe to the channel and like this video so that you don't miss any of the best college football coverage in America.